There you go. We're live.
Yeah. Oh, no, we are live. Yes. Hello, everyone.
Good
Welcome to be with GEEETECH 3D Maker Salon here. I'm Spring Joe, and today we have a special guest, Sam, with us. Hello, Sam.
Hi there, Spring. How you doing? All right.
I'm great, and today we're lucky to have you. Before inviting Sam to be with discussion, I'd like to introduce about our 3D Maker Salon a little bit. Is that 3D Maker Salon is a platform for every 3D makers to share your opinions on live, and also we mean to have this platform for everybody to join. So if you are interested to join this platform and also share your stories, your experience, and also your innovations, you can just contact with me, and we will talk about that behind the stage. And right now, I'd like to introduce a little bit about Sam. Sam is a Star Wars Droid and Robotics Builder from UK, and also he do 3D printing tests, reviews, and also he has been in 3D printing for I think more than 3 years or 4 years.
Yep, 4 years I think now.
So just some basic background introduction, and also he has been enjoying and inspiring others to be in the 3D printing world. This is basically what I know about him. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Sam to introduce himself to us here.
Thank you, Spring. Thank you very much. Yeah, you're quite right. You sort of took the words right out of my mouth, actually. But so what happened when we got into lockdown with the pandemic? I set up a YouTube channel, basically looking at mainly providing my own views on 3D printing processes and looking at other manufacturers and third-party manufacturers around the use of my CR10S5 printer, which is inherently got a few problems with it, like heat creep and other things like that. So the idea of my channel was to basically share some of my experiences, inspire others into perhaps 3D printing and different processes and practices and things like that. And it's kind of gone in a kind of weird direction, and I'm sort of bogging down now with reviewing things where actually I want to be building. So when GEEETECH, you and GEEETECH reached out to me and said, hey, can we do some work together and produce the droid that you see in the background here, this guy, of course, it's something that I really wanted to do, mainly because I just seem to be repairing 3D printers all the time. And what I was looking to try and do is, inspire others and let them understand as well that when you buy a 3D printer, it might not be for the purpose that you're intending it for. So as an example, you can print small models on various machines, but sometimes you need a little bit more oomph or a bigger hot end or a more direct, feed for the filament in order to sort of get the right products out. And it all depends on what you want to print. So, I'll give you an example. We print in the builders group, we print huge domes. So this is a PLA plus dome that would have been about a 6 or 7 day print. And
that's a huge one.
It is. Yeah, it is. And, you might be printing that sort of 5 or 6 days. And, there's two commodities that are hugely valuable, which is time and money. Now, if you spend 5 days printing something and it fails right at the last point, then obviously it's not just time, it's also money. So it's, it's one of those situations, one of those areas that if you have the incorrect equipment to do the job, and of course, we spoke about this earlier, not all manufacturers were expecting people like us to come along and start printing massive droids on 12-day prints. It just wasn't, it probably wasn't even in their scope. So what I'm setting out to try and do is show a process of start, middle and end and get back into 3D printing and actually finishing the models that I'm doing. So the good thing about GEEETECH at this point was that you sent me some stuff, we worked together on this, and, with the help of Droid Division, he has a really good Etsy page. There's a guy called Dave, he's on Facebook as well. He gave me the files for this little pit droid. And that's the stuff I've been.
Can you show us a little bit about the droid?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So again,
How it works and
sure, fully 3D printed. This is the base body basically, which I started printing out with the GEEETECH filament. We also did a baby Yoda as well in 3D filament, and the droid itself. Excuse me for a second. The droid himself is here. So let's just get him in front of the camera. And he's come out really nicely, actually. He's a funny looking thing, but as you can see, he's fully movable. He stands up on his own, and we're going to have some real fun with him, I think, over the next couple of weeks, because he is one of those kind of robots that really can sort of inspire and give you some imagination. And again, the same with the baby Yoda puppet I have here. He's incredibly detailed. He's got a lot going for him. And again, it's all about the prep. It's all about the paint, and how you can print all this stuff out. So and this was a Sean's Fields print, which was a free print. I'll try and put him back without making him fall over. But he put this out to the community, and I knew I just had to print one of these, and it's absolutely phenomenal. It's a really, really good model. So there. Where have you gone, Spring? She's disappeared. All right, well, I'll talk a little bit more about 3D printing then in that case.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back, right? Okay, cool. Here we go.
I'm trying to play with the new function here. So just I think you paint the color by yourself for the.
Yeah, so basically what I use is a filler putty. You can use like body car putty and things like that, but we use a filler putty, and especially around where his ears join and things, you can't really see a join there. And we spray this over the whole of the model. It sits and sticks really well to the model. And then I use a graffiti paint basically to get the layers and the levels and the shininess to his face. You might not be able to see it in this right light, but that's done with a special lacquer. And again, this is a work in progress. So over the past couple of days, I've printed these. This was printed a couple of weeks prior to that using the GEEETECH filament. And I just want to get him to a point where he kind of looks really realistic. But the droid at the back here, I did that inside of a week. You guys sent me some filament to sort of try out and make that work. And we were on about 3 to 4 kilos of filament for that one. And we got it, done inside of a week, printed and ready to go. And again, all these models are available online, and we will introduce Michael Baddeley, who has a 3D printing group, which is probably one of the best online at the moment, I would say, and I'm sure he would be a little bit thankful for that, because he's taken this to the next level. And I started out in this hobby just trying to make a robot from a film that I liked. And it's just turned into this whole big thing now. And, I'm getting messages daily from people wanting information, how to print, what printer to go for, what type of filament they should use. And, I've got a day job as well. So all of a sudden, my time aspect from actually building and painting and printing is I'm spending quite a lot of time, obviously creating content for YouTube, as well as creating various models and, fixing printers and all this kind of stuff. So the idea of the channel, again, is to motivate people and let them understand, actually, it's not just press the button and print. There's a lot more to it than that. But when you get the knack and you get the understanding there, you should be good to go. So, yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to so many friends online. So we are just chatting about the building the droids with Sam, and also later on he will invite 2 more friends to join this chat. And if you also have some questions, welcome to join us. And afterwards later on, we also have a gift session to we have quiz session to interact with audience and also send some gift out. So welcome you to join us. Let's continue the topic. Just a small interaction. Yeah.
That's it. So Spring, you've been really good with the communication for making things like this happen. And I'm thankful for you and to GEEETECH for sort of reaching out and showing me these products. We spoke a little bit earlier about the GEEETECH filament, and I've got to say, you know, it's great. It really, really is good. I've had no failures. I've had no blockages. I've had no problems with printing anything that I've had from you guys. And, you know, it's, I wouldn't endorse it if,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your recognition. And yeah, we did got a lot of good comments from our customers, and thank you for sharing with more friends as well.
Sure, no worries. So I'll tell you what. Why don't we bring Mr. Baddeley into the conversation? Michael Baddeley, just so you're aware, he is the reason that most wives hate their husbands by taking them away from their families and down to the shed or garage to print some of the best droids in the galaxy. He's accrued, I think, a group of over 9,000 people now that are 3D printing droids. That, you know, he's a master at CAD. He's an incredibly down-to-earth guy as well with it. And, you know, bring him on in.
Yeah, I have come across, went to the group that he had. It's more than, I think, 8,000 people. 9,000 people.
I think he's close to 9,000. Yeah. And Michael, hi mate.
Hey, how you doing? You well?
Actually, except he has. I think Michael has already got many wives joining 3D printing world as well. So that's something really cheering up.
That's it. And you've got your chopper out as well.
I have got my chopper out, which is the latest creation. This little fella here, which, yeah, I was going to be quiet there a little bit because I just could. A lovely introduction from Sam, and I could have carried on listening to that all day. Well, that's fantastic. But yeah, so this is Chopper, which is the latest one and the greatest one I think so far, with lots and lots of kind of little features. A brilliant character again from the Star Wars universe, and yeah, it's been an amazing journey for me as we've pulled together nearly 9,000 followers on Facebook. Similar sort of numbers around different kinds of social media platforms. But what's been most important, I think, is building that community of people. It's always, you know, new energy around builders to build that community of people who want to build these kind of things, these crazy people in their garages, you know, or in their house, or sometimes in their dining rooms, which are exceptionally popular with the rest of the family, as you can imagine. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
But it's been an interesting journey for you though, Mike, isn't it, really? Because, you know, I mean, I first started talking to you way back when, you know, 4 odd years ago. You were not dropping your earbuds, but you were on Thingiverse, and that's where these things started to happen for you. And the great story about you is that you were challenged by the building community that you'd never be able to build an R2D2 3D printed, and that you can't do that. That's not something that can be done. Has really pushed you forward. From what I've heard in your interviews, and you know, again, it's inspiring. You know, near on 9,000 people to build something from their childhood on something that you can buy on the internet and make yourself. And you know, whenever we do a Comic-Con and people say, "Oh, how much was that? Where can I buy one of those?" and you say, "Well, I built it, and this is how you can do the same." There are people that either want to know more information, or there are people that are like, whoa, no, it's okay. Can I just buy one? So there are makers and there are people that will just kind of buy stuff. So what's your experience with all this?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously we sit completely in the maker area. And to be honest, I think the first thing is that people think that it is an absolutely unsurmountable mountain to climb to create something like this, or a full-size remote control R2D2 or whatever you're actually building. And the reality is it's a step-by-step process, and it takes, you know, typically this took me about 6 months, which is quite a quick build at the chopper. That's including the design time. But over that period, people just start, first of all, printing the small bits of plastic, sticking them together, and the skills that you pick up as you go through that in 3D printing, and then, as Sam said, you know, finishing and painting, moving on to electronics, moving on to, you know, starting to weather them so they look realistic. It's not a USB stick out of somebody's head that you can plug in and give all those skills. They're learned over a period of time. And I think what's brilliant with the community that we started to put together is the support that you get off all of the builders and the inspiration that you get when people are saying, you know, I was exactly like you 6-8 months ago, and now what I'm doing is I'm building all the electronics, and this is how I've done it. And at any point when you've got questions, just ask the group come back with answers. So it builds a building community. You know, there's ways of buying these things if you want to spend an extortionate amount of money, you know, for and a number of kind of commercial ones that are available. But that's not what the group's always been about. The group's always been about building these things for non-commercial reasons. And the other thing that Sam's not mentioned, but the work that goes on in the background with the builders community and charity work and doing some great causes with children's hospitals and whatever. So once you've built these things, what do you do with it? And you go and bring pleasure for others, or you raise money for others. And it's a privilege to be part of that community. And also, I think, you know, as Sam said, really, I entered when 3D printing was very much of its infancy. I chose to design R2D2's head because it was literally a ball cut in half. It was very easy to design in my mind. Hit a community that had spent years looking over the details of these things, and I did get that challenge. I did get that, you know, you can play around with your 3D printers, but it is impossible to print a full-size 3D R2D2.
Great concept. That to bring more people to the 3D printing world and also sharing experiences. I think it's Michael is really a great printing master in building the community.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, you're forging ahead with things, Mike. You know, it's you know, it's interesting because, you know, we sit at slightly different sides of the table sometimes with, you know, the groups that I'm involved with and the group that you've created. But you know, really, it is one and the same. Really, you know, when it boils down.
We got some great comments from people saying.
Brian, yeah.
Yeah,
you can't get under 10 seconds on the racing, though, can you, Brian?
Some recognition for Michael. Yeah.
Amazing.
Lovely. Yeah, fantastic.
That's really good. I think we might have another guest as well, Spring.
Yeah. Let's welcome our
Jim McCann.
special guest.
We first met Jim at Scarborough Comic-Con. He's a maker with a slick style and a pair of shoes to match, building 3D racing droids.
Hello, Jim.
Hello. How you doing, Jim?
How is everybody? Sorry I'm late.
That's all right, mate. Spring was busy eating, so that's why we're early and late.
I've been jumping between sites trying to work out where I need to be.
Yeah, apologies for that.
I think
No, not your fault.
I heard that you made a racing droid by yourself with your son. It sounds very interesting.
Yes, it's I'll move him out of the way. That's mine. And so, where is he? Let's see if we can find a better picture. This is the one that was made with Alex. There's
so this is a Pikachu, right?
This is P1K4. Yes, this is a Pikachu droid.
Amazing. And you know, I know we can't talk too much about that particular droid because it's undercover and it's in beta at the moment. But is that the speedy one?
No, the speedy one is elsewhere at the moment.
Okay.
In various states of repair. This is this is still my current primary racing droid. But I say, being as Sam was on the show, I didn't want to give too much away. Ready for next time. Win the trophy next time.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition here, Spring, you know, between Jim and myself. With a variety of.
I got a question for all of you guys. How many droid prints do you have? Did you calculate it by yourself?
Sorry, how many? What? Sorry.
I mean, how many droids did you print it?
Oh, how many print jobs have we had? Oh, God.
4,367,294. It's just never ending.
That's so accurate.
I did a count on no, something like this is probably, I don't know, 200 or 300 parts just alone to create. So it's very difficult to calculate the amount of print jobs. I've got 15 droids or something like that at the moment, each of which got multiple parts. So it's a challenging question, that, Spring, I've got to say.
Yeah, Jim, what about you? What sort of print time do you reckon you've got on your printers so far?
Lots. I mean, I'm probably sort of fairly new to printing. I've probably only been at it for 2-3 years now. But yeah, there's certainly sort of a good few hours on there, a good few days, months, weeks.
Yeah. And again, it works. We were talking earlier, Spring, about the Prusas. Michael's a big fan of the Prusa. I'm a fan of trying to make the Creality work. And there are other manufacturers. GEEETECH do some fabulous printers, multicolour printers, and it's all good. Oh, Darren's saying how many droids? Okay, so I'm probably maybe 10, 12 droids, I think. Maybe around that sort of size. What about you, Jim? How many droids are you on?
I'm on 3 completed and about 6 still in the process.
Right. Okay. And dare I ask, Michael?
Well, I cheat, you see, because I've got micro droids as well, which is a small one, so you can make more of them. But I think I'm around about 15 at the moment. Unfortunately, I have to print every single one that I design, so consequently, I need a bigger shed, I think.
I think you do. So, in regards to these smaller droids, it's something we touched on a little bit earlier. The part of the community, Spring, is that, if you're going to go in and try and build a full-size R2D2 and spend 3 months printing it, it's not really, as a new user, it's not really a viable option. So the smaller racing droids and also the droids that Michael's been working on. And do you have Rover there at all, Mike?
I do indeed, yeah. So this is kind of a. Let's bring it a little bit closer. Yeah, so this is Rover.
Wow.
As you can see, this is Rover. It's got 6-wheel. It's 6-wheel direct drive.
The newly built one.
Yep. This
is the newest one. Yeah. So it's got 3. Got an eye. There's a little radar at the back, and then it's a 6-wheel drive. So it's quite a fun little mate, and I think he'd give the racing droids a run for the money on speed and manoeuvrability.
This is where it all becomes really super competitive.
Driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody will beat Sam on driving, I've got to say. Although I mean, the DOs are pretty quick as well, and these little ball droids. I posted a video on YouTube actually of one just taking a corner and doing a little bit of a donut, and so they're great fun. But I think that's the whole thing about about this hobby is you can create things, and it's not just about creating something that sits there, a bit of plastic that you painted, but what you can do with some fairly cheap electronics is get something that is magical, and that to me is the magic of 3D printing, is whatever you've got in your head. Speaking as a designer, but whatever I've got in my head, if I want a 6-wheeled drive droid or whatever, I can think it, design it, and then start to get the pieces just appear. And that magic never goes away from me. That's I'm still a 7-year-old kid thinking, oh my god, it's like a magic.
Michael, how long does it take for you to design a new one normally? The fastest one that I've done, which I cheated a little bit, was this, and this is probably one of the most popular ones, which is Dobby. So I'll just bring it a little bit closer to the camera. And when I say I can give you a big one. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So this is Dobby. He runs on this center wheel. He actually steers quite accurately. Very, very quick. This took me a weekend to design and print and to get out. And when I say I cheated, because I've used a drive system that I already had built for a DO. So that one was literally 3 days to print, test, and get out as a set of skins that fitted on an existing one. But we also do some of the smaller ones, which again, these typically sort of take about a week to design. They're not too long. And then when we've got things like Chopper was about 6 months, which is, in traditional building of R2D2s, for example, the guys can take 2-3 years to build these things. So, 6 months is fairly quick, but within that 6 months, there's lots of printing, testing, making sure you know, that you've got some of the more, so like the mechanisms on the arms, for example, that these arms that come out here, that all the mechanisms are checked and working. And then you've also got the electronics and the systems that go behind it. So the 6 months development time was incredibly quick for Chopper, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you had a fire in your pants or something there, Mike, because I'll tell you what, you know, but before we knew it, it was done. It was a done deal, you know, and others have tried this previously, you know, and I've got, I printed 2 of the previous models that were a different person's design. But again, just, it was arduous getting to that kind of final design phase, and you just had it done within a few days. And it's certainly something that I'll be printing in the future. And you know, again, when the larger files come out, because I don't want to be joining stuff together. I want to print big, print fast, and you know, that's kind of what I'm all about really on that front. So, do you fancy a job there, Jim?
I would say with obviously so with a lot of people, it's not just the print time. Print time, yes, may take days to months, but it's the finishing time that you've got to put into it afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you want something smooth and shiny and something that's going to look good on a shelf as well as on a racetrack, then you've got to put in the effort to finish them off as well. There's a lot of filling and sanding, and then some filling and sanding.
I've got to
sanding and then painting.
Yeah, I've got to give Sam the credit for the amazing spray putty that he discovered. I think he wanted to keep it secret, but hey, we just blew it open to the world. Really annoyed the Americans because they couldn't get it. But that you know, I mean, Chopper Dome is, to me, you stick it outside, you run about six or seven coats of that stuff on, and then you sand it for half an hour and you're ready to print. And previously, that whole exercise would have took about 2-3 days. So it's just means you can rapidly create things if you've got the right materials. But but
again, you know, Mike, I'm sure you're aware of this as well. You know, when you've got a certain printer, like the printers that you're using right now, you know, you get a certain quality out of those things, right? So and again, this is what I'm trying to do with the CR10 and the Ender 5 Plus now, is that I'm trying to get it so using third-party extras, so that you can really get that definition on a print, so it's really smooth. You know, so when you do go to put the filler putty on or primer on or whatever you're going to put on it, you know, you already have a really good foundation before, you know, I don't want to be filling in massive holes or breakages or rejoining stuff. I want it to print well first time. And I think it's achievable as well, even with some of the budget printers.
Well, I think what's happening now in the prop building world is we are shifting much towards these really big models. And what I'm really surprised at is that printer manufacturers have not really started to dig in with what's important to that print, because as Sam said, what we're doing at the moment is we're buying CR10s or printers that have got the bigger print base, and then within the community we're sharing upgrades and changes and tweaks and discoveries around nozzle sizes that can optimize it for those large props. If somebody came out in the marketplace with something that had a 500mm bed that was affordable with all of the relevant upgrades that you needed to print these things, it would just sweep through the whole community like wildfire. And I haven't seen any real printer manufacturers that have kind of got something in that space at the moment. It's mostly around modifications and upgrades, or more around the commercial side, which is hideously expensive for most hobbyists.
Come on, Spring, it's GEEETECH's time to shine.
They were throwing the challenge down there. We're throwing the gauntlet down there, Spring.
Sam, can you show us the job that you printed with GEEETECH Filaments? And give it some shining time.
Give it some shining time. Okay. Well, this is the droid. He's covered in plastic and stuff. He's covered in cable and stuff at the moment. But you know, he's fully articulated. He can dance around and jump about and stuff. And he's quite interesting to sort of puppeteer as well. You know, you can get some good expressions out of his head and things. And you know, like I say, he's finished off to a pretty good degree. His head will come off, you know, if you want it to. But again, that's the same for the whole body, really. You know, you can disconnect it and you can build him or attach him to, you know, a wheelbarrow or a lawnmower or whatever you want. And I think this guy is going to certainly feature a lot more heavily when on going forward with my Instagram posts and things, because he's a hell of a lot of fun, and I think I'm gonna yeah, I think I'm going to do a lot more work with him, and you know, get some real sort of finishing details in, and LEDs in the dome and stuff. But until then, he can have a little nap. So yeah, there you go. There you go.
So there's a question, Sam. What are all those wires? Are those all 2 servos? Is that literally fully servoed up?
No, all the wires there are from my C3PO 3D print that I was working on. And of course, being the nature of what I do for a living, which is running a recycling company, every time I get cable in, I kind of figured that I would do, I almost feel like he's a Mr. T, but instead of with gold, he's got cable around his neck. That's the idea.
Oh, brilliant.
You know, this is a droid that was based on you know, from the Star Wars franchise. It's called a Pit droid, and as I say, Dave from Droid Division, you know, supplied me with the files for this, and Dave does some, like Michael, some incredible you know, work out there. And the next one I'm building will be like a 6-foot battle droid, which I've already started working on with GEEETECH Filament. Just got to get that in there. And you know, like I say, search for him on Etsy, search for Droid Division on Facebook. He's you know, an incredible modeler, as is Michael. And again, Michael Baddeley's 3D printed droids, or Baddeley's 3D printed droids. And you know what, Michael, that was really funny when someone sees like an all metal robot, like an R2 or whatever, and someone says, "Is that a Baddeley?" Like it's almost like it's like a like an old classic car or something. Is that a Baddeley?
I went to a Spanish convention, and there was an R2 there, absolutely beautiful it was. And Catherine, my wife, went up to it and she said, "You're." Sorry, my wife. So,
we don't care about you.
I was going to say, my wife went up to this R2D2, which was beautifully finished in Spain, and said, "Your printed ones are okay." She said, "But when you see real ones and real metal ones, the difference is a million miles apart." And the guy came up behind her and said, "That's one of Michael's printed ones." But he was a professional car body sprayer, so he painted the dome. It was beautiful. It's painted dome, but you couldn't distinguish it from a fully aluminium one. And that's amazing skills.
It's skill, though, isn't it? It's down to
we got
skill.
some questions for you guys to answer. Maybe at the meantime, I'll just show some questions, and then you are okay to answer. Just to give some answer directly here.
Hey, I think that Martin, he's on the he knows a thing or two about 3D printers already. He added me as a friend the other day, and I think he's already involved with the community, so he knows full well what's a good printer and what isn't. But whatever printer you buy, it all depends on what you want to print. So if you're printing little figurines or things like that, pretty much any stock printer is going to be great for that. But if you're printing big, you know, within the community, within our droid building community, it's normally the CR10S5, which then you have to upgrade, or continue to protest and moan about it and tell your wife that it was still a good investment at £600 when it's not. You need to put that to build these droids and to do it first time, every time. You're going to need to put more money into it to upgrade the hot end and things like that, guaranteed. And that's what I'm discovering more and more now. I don't want failed prints. I don't want to get into the workshop the next day and find that it's spaghetti everywhere. I want it printing well, and you know, for the product to be really super efficient. So
yeah, my favourite by far, and everybody knows, is the Prusa's. They're just really solid, really reliable. There's drawbacks. They're not big enough. You know, the beds are far too small for what we do. So you do have to cut these things up into smaller pieces. I've got 3 of those, and I've got the S5, which, as Sam said, it's a love-hate relationship, because you've got to tickle the thing, you've got to repair the thing, but ultimately it can print out, you know, full-size domes in one go. And then I've got a little resin printer which I use for some of the detail. But it is putting the printer to the job that you want to do, and I don't think one necessarily can solve all the problems.
I would say anyone that's got more than one printer, the best printer is the one that is currently working. Nothing piece is being upgraded.
Yeah, there's a question here about the spray putty. What's the brand?
What's spray putty?
It's a spray that we use to get rid of the print lines.
Yeah.
And it's made by a company called Motep, and Michael has some in his hand right now. Okay,
I'll give a.
If you can get hold of it, because after Michael released it, it went out of stock. But it's a car body, putty spray, which is, you know, beautifully modelled by Michael Baddeley here. And again, I use it. A lot of builders use it for varieties of, you know, 3D printing, finishing, and bits and pieces like that. And it leaves a very, very nice. I'm glad you sat down well there, Mike. The chair didn't slip out from behind you.
Yeah.
No, we're all safe. But yeah, it's super. It's just a shame we can't get this in the US. I know the US guys would give their right arm for this stuff, because it does actually have exactly the right consistency for 3D printing.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, just quickly go through some of the comments here.
Yeah. I got to say
taking to you. What does that mean? Yeah. I think that for the printing part, that you guys has a lot of experience to share as well. For like the filaments, that's normally, how do you guys like finding the best temperature for different filaments?
Okay, so it depends on the machine, and it depends. There's a lot of you know, influences, outside influences on how hot the you know, if you've got a heated bed or not, or you know, what temperature it is in the room that you're printing in. But generally, I stick to 200 to 210 degrees on the hot end, and 50 to 60 on the build plate. I use 3D lac, which is a adhesive, to make sure that it sets it nicely. I use the other important thing is the build plates that Creality is shipping at the moment is you've got this kind of heated bed induction thing on it. The best process for me is basically on a piece of glass, because you get, and I don't know if I can show it here, but you get the shiniest of shiny. You can see that there. It's the foundations of any print is so important, and if you don't get that clarity in your print, then you're just going to set yourself up for failure. And again, if it starts printing badly to start with, not Baddeley, if it starts printing badly to start with, then you haven't got a hope in hell.
Yeah, I'd agree with Sam. 3D lac is amazing. I use it on all surfaces, but it's getting used to a specific type of filament. And once you've got it dialed in, as you said, with temperatures, most people stick with that. The challenge we've got, I guess, is really there isn't a perfect filament. There's, you know, in one respect, ABS is fantastic because of its strength and its flexibility, but it does warp, and then so on larger beds it's a bit of a nightmare. PLA is so easy to print. It's not an issue in the UK, but when it gets hot, it can start to get a little bit soft and warp, so it's not good thermal temperatures. Petg is a really nice in-between one, but it's a nightmare to stick together. There's no obvious glue that really welds Petg to Petg without getting into really sort of dangerous materials. So there's been a few manufacturers that have started to do things like PLA Plus and ABS Plus, where they've added content to it, and you know, that's the constant battle, I think, of builders, is trying to find the best filament that matches what they're actually printing at the time.
Yeah, I have noticed that the qualities of a lot of the PLAs coming through at the moment are really sort of moving up. The materials do seem to be a lot more uniform. They print a lot more predictably. Once you've got something dialed in, you can pretty much not have to worry about it again. The batch to batch, they seem to be coming through nicely now. Certainly earlier in my 3D printing career, I could go from printing exactly the same filament and it would come nicely, just changing the color using the same filament, and it was an absolute nightmare. It either wouldn't stick, it wouldn't extrude, or it was, but yeah, everything has come quite a long
Jim,
way.
actually, I got one question for you, that because you build like raising drawers, and what's the best material do you use for building the raising drawer?
The lightest possible in areas that aren't going to get bashed. There's a lot of repair work that goes into these. I don't know if you can sort of see down the bottom. There's a lot of sort of scuffs, and there's a lot of filler down here, big sort of bits I can get my fingers through. So something that prints quickly and easily to be replaced. But up top, I tend to use some of the lighter PLAs just to keep the weight further down the bottom.
Nice one.
Jim, where are you? In some sort of manor house. It looks very regal.
No, this is just the dining room.
It's
in the garage, ready to go, and then realised
I've
I've never
one more
tried to use a
question.
Wi-Fi connection in the garage.
Rafael asking what glues are best for Petg that you guys found.
I use an epoxy, I think, for Petg.
Yeah, there isn't the perfect glue. There is some that allow you to weld it, but they are, you know, if you read the health and safety sheet, there is some scary, extremely dangerous. What I've started to do is to use epoxy, as Sam said, but actually back it up in the design with a physical connection. So I actually use little grub screws and then create holes for the grub screws with grooves on the inside. So the epoxy's got a physical latch as much as a glue. If you just put epoxy on a beautifully smooth surface, it can peel off when it's set. So, but that epoxy. The other thing that people really do rave around is super glue and baking powder. Mix the two together. Baking powder acts as an accelerant, and it does give a very, very strong bond. The only challenge with super glue and baking powder is it can be a little bit brittle. So, like racing droids and bashing into things, we can have bits that fall off. But that'd be my two go-tos on Petg.
Jim, anything for you? Jim's fallen asleep.
So, no, I'm still here. Was that? I didn't have a huge amount more to offer. I think with Petg, again, epoxy. I would use a 2-part 5-minute epoxy, and as much physical support as possible. If I pull over one of Craig's droids, this is not a Petg droid. It is PLA, but the design of this, if you can see in there, it has little clips that keep every section together for when it's glued up, and that makes a big difference as to how well things will go together.
The other thing that people do use a lot on Petg is the little 3D pens. So you can use them literally as a small welding thing where you put the filament through and you weld along the seams. It just requires a little bit more cleanup, but again, that's quite solid, really.
We got one more question.
Yeah, the difference between the spray putty and normal primer is that it is inherently a putty, so it's a very, very thick filler primer or filler. So if you imagine when you have print lines, imagine those are individual print lines. When you spray normal filler, it will go into those grooves and it'll still continue to have those grooves. With filler primer or with filler putty, it tends to be so thick that it just goes straight over and it's smooth at the end. Mike, what do you think?
The other good thing, no, exactly. It's the thickness of it. It is more of a putty, but the real advantage of it is when you hit actual printed details, so deep grooves, is it tends to sit just outside the grooves. So you don't lose detail, but what you do is you smooth over the print lines, and it is magic stuff. I can't. At some point, we need to rebrand it as 3D printy sprayy things, and somebody needs to sell it. I did write to the company, but they didn't seem interested because they are in the motor manufacturing industry. So I don't think they quite understood about these madcap lunatics that make full scale props.
We have one more question. Is that when using PLA, do you find it degrading?
I don't find it at all. There's a couple of years ago, I printed a Halloween pumpkin carriage for my daughter, and after it had gone rotten, I took the 3D printed parts in PLA, and that stayed out in the garden in all weathers through the winter for 12 months before doing it again, and it hadn't degraded at all.
Wow.
It's a real misnomer on PLA. It is an environmentally friendly material if you really do some research into it, and it will degrade, but the conditions in which it has to degrade is it has to be above 60 degrees centigrade, and it has to be in a certain compost and damp material. So under normal room type conditions where you're not sticking it in the ground and heating it up to 60 degrees, it will pretty much last the same as normal plastic. But because I think it's biodegradable, everybody gets concerned that the droids are just going to magically melt away and be eaten by worms over the next 2 years, but it will literally last hundreds of years in the normal conditions.
And plus, we paint them, so you've got a layer of paint over the top, and filler primer and putty and all the rest of it, and that should give it a little bit more protection from certainly from the elements. And plus, the majority of this stuff are in our front rooms or regal bedsteads or whatever. It's it's
okay. I got one question for you guys. Like, what's the most important part or difficult part to make a fully functional droid regarding printing parts?
Waiting for Michael Baddeley to finish it.
What's the most important one? Sorry, I didn't catch that first bit, the last bit.
I mean, what's the most important part or difficult part to make a fully functional droid?
The most difficult part is the areas of high stress. So on a droid, that can be the shoulders, where the leg. These things are not designed for real world. They were made in movies. So what you've got is you've got long legs on with these shoulders, and then you've got drives at the bottom. So these areas are high stress, quite difficult. The other part that's quite difficult to design is the actual drives, because what you're combining is motors, the torque of motors, and then you've got to create gearboxes that actually work and make them printable, but also make them so that they'll last the time. When I first built a fully rolling R2D2 and printed with the printed drive system, I never expected people to print lots of them as we get to now. And I was really nervous, thinking these things are just not going to, they may start to break or fall over after 8 months or 6 months or whatever. Luckily, I think they've managed to stand the test of time, and we've learned by iteration as we've gone through. But I would say drives and shoulders are one of the hardest bits to get, to design.
Thank you for the great answer. I have one very important question to answer. Whoever can answer the parties is, do you guys think that color, like filament color, matter for printing droids?
No, not really.
No.
No. Maybe everything's going to get painted anyway.
I've seen lots in the group where they'll print them multiple.
For what we do, you sent me a load of white PLA, and thank you again for that, which I printed this guy on.
The reason I'm asking this is because sometimes I'm asking people what color do you prefer, and then because maybe you print a stuff that has a base color, or you can change, or like I'm just not sure about the preferences.
I'll tell you why, Spring, because the way the putty goes on, or the way the primer goes on, that's your base coat anyway. Because a lot of the paint that we use is either I use graffiti paint. A lot of people use automotive stuff, and in the UK there's a number of companies that you can sort of buy these from online and in store and stuff, and it's rattle can sprays mainly, and you buy a bunch of those, layer it up, lacquer it up, and it's the same as printing a motorbike or a car or anything like that. You add protection to it if you so wish to, and you can come up with the blue droid that you can see in the background there. That's all automotive paint. It's all painted. It's aluminium. It's got a base coat on it, and then there's lacquer. It's got the main paint, and then obviously lacquer over the top of it as well. So any of the things that we print or look to try and finish at a high level, and as Jim mentioned earlier, a lot of it is about the finishing. The sanding and and the spraying, the sanding, the spraying, and it's almost like it gets to almost be like a joke. But if you really want that high pop to your robot, this was done in a week, but I can vastly improve on that if I spent another week basically prepping it for paint. So it's very much down to how you want to see that
painting job done.
Yeah.
So I think it's a kind of skill as well, very important to because some people don't know how to paint them well, like you do. So that's just something to.
Well, it's a learning thing as well, Spring. We didn't set out. Like all of the builders that are in this group are. You wander into the group and go, where do we start? And certainly when Michael and I first started, which was before Jim. That you get some knockback from people. People want to do it in a certain way, and this is the way they've always done it. And what Michael's proved is actually, you know, we can print these things, and this is the way that we can go about it, and they can be absolutely brilliant and look, you know, and work exactly the same as a fully fabricated metal droid. So, you know, it's brilliant.
And it goes back to sort of what's the hardest thing as well. The hardest thing to do depends on your skill set, but within the community, there's everyone with all the different skill sets that are all willing to help each other out with the different things. Your hardest thing might be the electronics, it might be the finishing, it might just be things that you haven't done before, but it's all about learning.
Absolutely.
Jim, are you doing printing? I can hear some sound over from your side.
Not that I'm aware of. No. No problem.
Maybe it's just the microphone. Yeah, I think that since we mentioned so many about printing droids, and also you mentioned about GEEETECH filaments, and I want to know from you guys that what's the most important element for you to consider if it's a good filament or not? Or to say if you have any suggestions for for us for our product that we are having now.
Sure. So the first suggestion is actually from my printing with this product, it's been flawless, no fails, no issues, etc., etc. I'd also like to see like a PLA plus, so you have those extra kind of elements inside the PLA. The other thing would be 2 kilo or 2.5 kilo spools or 3 kilo spools, because inherently a lot of the stuff that we do, certainly on the big printers, is, you know, we don't want to stop, we just want to print. And if you've got to work out the time to, or you know, sometimes you get that minimal, even if it's out by a millimeter, when it goes back to reset after you've done a changeover, it's had it, and you won't see that for a couple of rotations, and then finally when you see it, you know, you don't want to start slicing it and rejoining it and all that sort of stuff. Really, you want a solid model. So, you know, I would like to see, certainly from GEEETECH, is probably a range of products that would be 1 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilo, and then probably something around the
8 kilo.
Well, maybe, you know, maybe not 8 kilo, but I think 8 kilo. 8 kilo, they do that, but you know. 8 kilo is well overkill, I think, for the stuff that we're doing. And, you know, I think Michael as a designer is thinking about that as well. You know, how much filament am I going to use in this particular model? Same with Jim, you know, he's trying to print in lighter PLAs. And, you know, Michael sent me some light PLA products, and they are phenomenal as well. So again, just keep innovating.
Yeah, and I think just
recyclable spools as well, or yeah. There's only so many of Michael's R2D2 parts holders that you can print.
No, I think just to add to what Sam said, I think PLA as a base is probably the way to move forward, because it's so easy to print. It doesn't warp. Everybody loves it. The two drawbacks of PLA is it's not that flexible, so it tends to be brittle in its rawest format. And the other one is it's what's called glass point, or where it starts to get soft under heat. So, you know, in a hot car, it can start to flex. So the PLA Plus, you know, this is where a lot of organizations have got their own term around PLA Plus. But what they're trying to do is increase the strength of it and a little bit of the flexibility, but also get that temperature point up from 40, 50 degrees where it starts to go soft upwards. So innovation around PLA, I think, is definitely the way forward.
Agree.
Yeah, so Darren wants to know your primary contact forum channel. Yeah, you can share your channels in the comments here later, and just if anybody is interested to know more about your droids or any experience that they want to know from you, then can contact you directly. I think it's great. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think Sam's got a YouTube channel, haven't you, Sam?
Yeah, it's youtube.com/The Real Sam Prentice. Reviews hopefully every Friday. And what's your channel there, Michael? You've got a YouTube channel and a Facebook group.
I have, yeah. So Michael Baddeley is the YouTube channel, which easily found in the Facebook group.
Yeah. Please do share here with our audiences. Everybody is interested to know more about you.
Absolutely.
What do you do, Jim? Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I'm just a grumpy old man that likes to keep myself to myself.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. No, that's good. Spring, do you think you're going to be printing a droid soon? Are we going to start seeing that in the foreground of your printing live shows?
Not sure. It's still printing. It's a Android like Android small stuff here.
We'll send you some
I was
stuff to
actually
print.
thinking about to print something different with you guys, because you already have so many very fancy dome or droid from your side. Then I need to bring something different.
We'll hook you up. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll hook you up with some stuff. Don't share it with anybody else, but we'll hook you up with some bits.
Okay, I give Michael a big screen to share the latest.
This little one, yeah. See, that's the one you want to print. That's lovely, nice and small. It's a good starter droid for your spring, and I think once you've done that, you can move on to some bigger things. But we'll set you a challenge, and then you can come on to Sam's YouTube channel, and you can show what droids you built, which would be fantastic.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So, Spring, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are we going to do a giveaway?
Yes, we're going to do a giveaway. Oh, I just found the time flies so fast. I have so many questions and not answered, and it's already 1 hour almost. Yeah, let's start from.
Okay, so what are we going to give away? Are we going to give away some PLA, right?
Yeah, we will have some PLA gift, and we have 3 questions, and 1 question we select 1 good answer, and who answered the fastest one, we will pick the lucky guy.
Well, in that case, then I'll start. Okay, so who was the director of the 2016 Rogue One: A Star Wars Story? So that was, who was the director of Rogue One: A Star Wars Story? First one to answer. Here we go. Do we wait?
Wow, that's a really has to be a Star Wars fans.
I think there'd be a 10-second delay or so as well, won't there?
Yeah, let me see if there's anything else that will.
Michael Baddeley. No, it's not Brian Johnson. He's the lead singer of AC/DC.
Oh, I got a very interesting question for you guys. Do you think 3D printing is like a printing droid is addictive or not?
Oh yes.
Try and find someone.
Oh, we got some answers.
Brian.
Alan said Brian Johnson.
No, he was the lead singer of AC/DC. It's Brian. Brian got Gareth Edwards. So, Dave, you were just out of there, mate. You were just out of there. Yeah, it's Gareth
Dave
Edwards.
is the one got the answer.
Okay,
right?
Whoever you think got the answer.
Congratulations, Dave. Okay, let's go to the second one.
Michael, have you got anything prepared?
No, I thought you had 3, Sam, which I thought was very suitable questions.
Lucky Joe, wake up, guys. We have Lucky Joe,
okay,
2 more Lucky Joes.
Okay, the next question is...
Lucky questions as long as you answer right and quick.
Okay, so the next...
Are we ready, Sam?
I was ready about a minute ago. It's okay, here we go. Which species believed that C-3PO might be some sort of god? That's which species believed that C-3PO might be some sort of god? Go. God, it's tense,
Can you repeat it again?
I can repeat it again. Which species believed that the robot C-3PO might be some sort of god? It's a real easy one.
Thank you for taking care of me. That's the slowest speed that you can have, probably.
I got Christopher Climmy. Is that right? Got the answer right first. Is that what you're seeing, Joanna? Spring, rather.
Christopher Climmy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
He's the winner of that one.
Okay.
He's the winner of that one. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And, Jim, have you got any questions you'd want to...
So the first one is Dave for the first question.
Yes, so Dave Moon is
lucky
the guy
person.
that created
Second
this.
one is Christophia Klimi.
Yep.
Congratulations. Okay, guys, we got the last one.
Okay.
Wake up.
Back to, I would say, can anyone tell us what R2D2 stands for? What R2D2 stands for?
What R2D2 stands for? Is it a Lee Towersy question?
It sounds like a Lee Towersy question, doesn't it?
This is an exciting one.
Have I gone too nerdy?
I think
so difficult.
I know that. Are you talking about the history of the reference? R2D2,
the history of the reference, yes.
What's the history of the reference for R2D2? Got that?
Spring, have you got any idea?
George Lucas come up with the name.
That wasn't too nerdy, Jim. Everybody knows that.
So we're waiting for the answer.
We are waiting for the answer.
Yeah.
We are.
Do we have the right answer? I'm still waiting.
Hang on a minute.
Okay, no problem. We can have some other questions during the waiting time as well.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to take the most of the time. So it's how do you guys store your filaments normally? Can you share some experience?
Well, to be honest, I don't really. They don't have the time to be stored. I get them out of the box, and they are printing. So they're stored in the packet until such a time that I'm printing. And again, I don't tend to print anything less than 1 kilo. So it's on and it's going, and it won't have any time to degrade. That's me personally. Yeah,
I'm similar. I have more Amazon deliverers of filament than you could possibly imagine, because they just keep going through the machine, and I just put another roll on.
Let's switch to another one. And when you have like a poor quality filaments, let's say with some moisture, how do you deal with that?
Don't get it wet.
This is the most common questions people will ask.
Yeah, I've not had that issue where there's moisture in the filament. Again, you keep it dry, you keep it in the packet until you're ready to use it, and of course it can go back in the packet again. And those little sachets, that keep the moisture out, keep those, keep them in a box, put all your filament into the box. That's do you guys manufacture anything that does a drying process or anything, Spring?
Well, I'm just getting some questions from others, and then maybe I think I can have you guys to share some good experiences. Yeah, I actually see some people have that kind of drying box. I'm not sure if it's working or not. And also some people even say like put it in like some microwave.
No,
it's like a low temperature. I'm not sure if it's working because I'm not professional.
You can put it in the oven at a low temperature around about 60.
Definitely you can install like in a sealed box. That's a reasonable way that can keep it dry. And we got so many questions here, answers here.
We do. Yeah,
which one is the correct one?
Sorry,
the first one.
I see Norm Wilson as the first right answer.
Norm Wilson is the man or woman.
Well done.
Oh,
Norm
Wilson get the right answer. Congratulations, Norm.
Well done. Well done.
Okay, we have so many right answer, but a little bit maybe your internet speed is a little bit slow than others. So next time, welcome to join our channel. We still have the giveaway still, and also sharing from speakers as well.
Cool.
Excellent.
So that's almost the end of today's show. Do you guys have anything to add, or do you have any suggestions for GEEETECH or?
Not much more than we've said already. I think, Spring. You've been fantastic with this. Sorry, Jim. Thank you very much for inviting us on, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels and Facebook groups, and just keep being awesome.
Yeah.
I would say
So
again,
you guys
thanks for having us. But
just share your channels in the comments, and so that audiences can just connect with you directly.
Okay, Jim, go on.
Yeah.
I would just say for anyone that wants to start printing droids,
I got some.
Just enjoy
I got some
doing it.
good thing to share here as well. Is that we have some discount for our PLA. Currently, like we have a 40% discount for PLA in US, and I will actually share of the link here directly. So if you guys are interested, just you can connect here directly.
Okay, we'll share that away. Thank you very much, Spring. Anything else, Michael?
Anything else? What's your next project, Michael?
What's my next project? My next project, I've got a couple of rather interesting droids, which we've got. One is a walking droid, so that's a two-legged walking droid that is dragging a small cot behind it that will hold mini Yoda. That's the or baby Yoda, should we say? That's an interesting one that's kind of in the works at the moment. And the other one is I'm continuing on one that I've been doing on a off the road outdoor drive system, so we can have droids that spin around gardens and things and don't necessarily have to be perfectly flat areas.
Lawnmower droid, that's what you want to see.
Lawnmower droid, yeah.
I've got one of them.
Ones.
Yeah. So how about you, Sam? What's your next project?
I'm going to do another one of these. I've got a bigger, another Droid Division droid to do. And, again, thank you for the support. And I'm going to keep printing and, just keep going for it, really.
Yeah, keep on looking forward to your updates.
Thank you.
And how about Jean?
I've got a pit droid to make next. I've got an R2D2 to finish. But I also found myself a tracked wheelchair. So the plan is to make one of these that I can sit in.
Wow.
That should be fun, but that might take a while.
Gosh.
That's cool.
Cool. Okay, so guys, I just posted our discount for PLA. So we have white, black, and gray, and also I think red and other colors as well. It's 40% discount. 40%, 40% discount. So it's a huge discount, and so you will see it when you check out. You will see the discount when you go check. So this is only lasted till Sunday, this Sunday. So it's only like 2 to 3 days left. So you can just check it out if you are interested. And also we have a discount on the A20T. So I also posted here. So if you are interested in our printers, we welcome to also to check it out as well. And we have actually, like Sam mentioned, we have like different two colors in and one out, and also 3 colors in and 1 out as well. So this is our featured printers. If you are interested, welcome to contact our official channel as well. So that's for the promotion.
Thank you. So it's 40% off.
Thank you for your time of joining us. Hi guys, if you want to say thank to our speakers, welcome you to just comment here to say thank to Sam and Michael and Jean for their wonderful sharing here. Yeah, we actually had some from here. Just yeah, again, thank you a lot for having this great show.
No, and thank you for being a great host, Spring. You've done an incredible job.
I'm trying to make it work. Yeah, I think at least today our internet is very stable. I'm very happy with that.
Good.
Always important.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it, and we will see you next time.
See you later.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye
Cheers,
now.
guys. Bye for now.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
See you.
Yeah.